obviously, but the object is to get a hit. And no one got more hits than Pete Rose. He never, ever, ever played less than 1,000%. He's famous for those head first, slides, those amazing slides. Everybody knows about that. But it's just sad that MLB at its highest hypocrisy kept him out for all these years. Bud Selig kept him away, and I hate Bud Selig. I mean, to me, he was the biggest hypocrite of all. He's judging Pete Rose. Like, look, Pete Rose could have been suspended for 10 years. I understand that, right, Benny?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, I could have understood that, to be fair, he didn't even admit it really until about 2002. So I would say it would have been fair to punish him a few more years if you want to make sure you still look like you have your imaginary egotistical authority over a man like Pete Rose. Clearly walked his own path anyway. He should have been reinstated, but instead you had people like Bud Selig judging him. Well, Bud Selig oversaw the steroid era. He knew exactly what was going on, and he
Yeah.
let cheaters get in the Hall of Fame. They call them cheaters, whatever you want to call them. I always felt it negated itself if a full-grown man on steroids like Roger Clemens is throwing to a full-grown man on steroids and Barry Bonds. To me, it's like whatever,
Well,
you know.
here's the thing, Jimmy. I think there's been about 23,500 players who have played in the big leagues, in one way, shape, or form, whether it be a
Right?
game or 10,000 games.
Sure.
Um, two of them, in the history of baseball have 10 200-hit seasons, and I bet you know both of them right off the top of your head.
Well, obviously Pete's going to be one of them, but who is the other one?
I'll give you first 10 seasons in the big leagues.
Oh, Ichiro?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Sure. And
Well,
notice that they both had similar philosophies. I mean, Ichiro also played very hard, not harder than Rose though. Pete Rose was the closest thing to Ty Cobb we were going to see in our lifetime. How do you feel about that?
right. I mean, who played harder than Pete Rose?
Nobody.
Nobody.
No, nobody. And I do believe I do believe what he said when he finally did his best to come clean. Look, Pete Rose is obviously a very stubborn man. As far as a person, he doesn't sound like he was really the greatest person from what
No.
I what I know.
Jimmy,
You
it's the
know,
Hall of Fame, not the Hall of Virtue, right?
absolutely, absolutely. When he said finally when he came as clean as he could about the whole thing, he said, "Look, I bet for my team to win. I know it was wrong what I did, but at least I was betting for my team to win. I would never ever throw a game. He was managing every game with the urgency of his bet that night on his team to win. It's wrong. And I could see why it got carried away for him. And yes, it does affect how you manage. If you remember Bobby Heenan's commentary when Flair was hiding at the Royal Rumble, he was like, "Where is he? I've got my house banked on this." You know what I mean?
Right, right.
It's like you can't do your job with a clear head if you're gambling in any form or fashion. But again, the punishment was way too severe and way too long, and now he's gone, and he should have been in the Hall of Fame at least 15 years ago. Stop it already with this. Like you said, it's not the Hall of Virtue, and when the most hypocritical of them all, whether it be the commissioner, like a C League, or the stooge that's followed, or the writers crack me up too. Ortiz is a Hall of Famer. He's on the list. I ah, poor
I hear
poor
you.
Pete
Pre-
poor Pete
Preach,
Rose. Rest in
preaching to the
peace.
choir, Jimmy. I realized while you were speaking that I forgot. When you hit go live,
Yeah,
it asks you, "Are you sure you want to go live?"
you
So I
nitwit.
didn't see that. So I missed that one. So the first 5 minutes, I'm going to backtrack here a little bit
You
and say
bonehead.
that this is the Playa with Jimmy Pharaoh. The reason I'm here, and maybe I'll never be here again after this one, but is that Mike is taking a well-deserved vacation. He is in Massachusetts,
Ah.
and one of the activities that he's doing, because people didn't see this, is bird watching. So I'm going to put this up one more time, and then we'll go back to our recent celebrity
Okay.
guest. But now
Okay.
let's see where there we go. And does that look
Okay.
familiar?
No, it doesn't look familiar at all. What is
All
that?
right, it is the vaunted and very rare red-crested cock gobbler. There are 27 known. Uh, 27 known birds left of the very
27.
endangered species. And Mike saw one of these birds. The funny thing is 26 of them are known to be in Centerville, Iowa. What's the chances that Mike is going to see a red-crested cock gobbler in Bumfuck, Massachusetts?
Well, I guess he just hit the lottery. I mean, why would that one flee though? And what's with this? Like, is Bird Society just intolerant of cock gobbling? What's
I don't
going on?
know.
Why are there only 20? Why are there only 27 left? I mean, have they been persecuted or
I
something?
mean, what happened to? Yeah, I mean that's a good question. What happened to the other cock gobblers? Did they get
Yeah,
gobbled? I mean,
really.
what
I mean,
you
like,
know?
could you just see the ravens and the vultures and even the seagulls getting together and going, these cock gobblers got to go.
Right? Yeah. Let's
What
get them.
the fuck? And Mike's got the one cock gobbler who probably went rogue. I'm going rogue. What is this,
Right.
Sons of
Yeah.
Anarchy? I'm going nomad. What the hell's
Well,
going on
maybe,
here?
yeah, maybe that the one that Mike saw is smart. He knows that the ones in center
Right,
row are doomed.
right. Did
You
he
know.
have a bad tan and fake veneers, this bird?
Well, yeah, and I think his name was What a Cock.
What a bird.
Right.
Unbelievable. Okay, so we've got
All
the
right.
bird.
Well,
We've
yeah.
got cock gobbling going on in multiple
Like I
states.
said, this might be
That's
my
great.
one and only Thursday night appearance, but I'm
Jesus
gonna go out with a bang,
God.
right?
Nice recovery, though, Benny. Come on.
Yeah, I know, right? So we went over and you do know that I know that you know this is that Whitey Ford and Mickey Mantle gave Pete Rose the name Charlie Hustle when they saw
Really?
him run to first base on a walk,
Nice. Nice.
right?
I just saw a clip where he went yard, and what's funny? He had such a nice compact, quick swing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he
And
was
he hit.
hunched over, but it was like, yeah,
Yeah.
all
Well,
motion.
he would launch a ball when he did get a hold of a home run. He would launch it because basically he crouched like it's silly, but I'm thinking of Mattingly. It's weird. They're totally different hitters, but Mattingly crouched too. And when he like would snap into the ball, I saw this particular home run from Pete. Dude, I'm telling you, man, it took less than 10 seconds for him. It felt like that, the way he tore around the bases. You know how they showboat today and they watch and they admire their home run. He hit this fucking home run and he was almost full speed around the bases.
Right. Well,
It's not look at me. And then the first thing he wanted to do was get to the dugout to slap hands with his teammates. That guy played ball.
I think his rookie year was 63.
Uh-huh.
I think his last year, I mean, he was player manager for the last several, was like
Right.
86, I
Right.
believe.
Right.
I mean, for 24 years, that guy never let up one iota.
No,
Ever.
not one. And I'm sure you've seen some of the clips where he'll pinch hit. He'll bring him as a manager. He'll bring himself in and get that classic line drive up the middle.
Right.
The guy was one of the, look, at the end of the day, he would have a right to say, I'm the greatest hitter that ever lived because the object is to get a hit.
Right.
And he got the most.
Well, there's a stat called hits, and number one is Pete Rose, and they'll never
Yeah.
take it away from him.
Yeah.
It's sad, like we we're wrestling guys, and you have guys like Dominic DeNucci, Ivan Koloff. Now, the WWE Hall of Fame is a little bit different than the Baseball Hall of Fame, but,
Sure.
a guy like Ivan Koloff, the guy died without getting his roses. Pete Rose died literally without getting his roses. To me, it's sad.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you want to talk work rate and the decades that Ivan Koloff gave to his business and his sport, and the fact that he was a champion at the end of the day, look, nobody can take it away. I mean, I know it's only 3 weeks, but you got to understand how the WWF operated back in those days. But those 3 weeks and the fact that he turned New York City silent, you know how hard that is to do? It's New York City, Benny.
Right.
They turned it silent.
19,000 people in absolute shock.
I can see why you would say that. I mean, Pete Rose was obviously a Hall of Famer. Everybody knows it, and yet he's not in. And Bart was asking me from Wisteria Hall earlier today. He's like, "Do you think that they'll put him in?" And I was like, "Yeah." You know what? They've towed such a hard line with him that if it does ever happen, it still might be a bunch of years unless the
Yeah.
media actually gives them pressure or the fans give them pressure. But I could have sworn that's what was happening anyway. Not so much through the media, but all the fans. You could tell everybody said enough's enough. Put him in.
Yeah.
That was the general consensus amongst the population of baseball lovers. It was at least 90% for him.
And I think even the hardliners now are going to soften up a bit now that he's gone, don't you think?
Yeah, but that's sad though because he's gone. What
Right.
good does that do him? I
Right.
mean, it's a much lesser thing, but poor Bill Buckner, you know how he suffered, but at least he got to come back and get cheered again and appreciated again.
Right.
Pete didn't get that. Pete
Yeah.
never got that. Well, that's because he gambled. You know
But
what? And enough with Shoeless Joe, too, while we're at it. That's enough with Shoeless Joe. It's been over 100 years of that horse shit. Listen, When you hit 375 in the World Series and don't make a single error, you did nothing to fucking make sure your team would lose.
Right, you did everything to help them
Get
win.
out of here. Just get out of here already. What was his lifetime average, Benny? You're the inside. What, 357? What was it?
356 or 7, yeah.
That's ridiculous. He was clearly one of the greatest players of his time, ripped away because they needed a scapegoat. They had to
And
put a popular face to it. He was the
it
face
was
of that team.
Cobb, Hornsby, and then Shoeless Joe, right? Number 3.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I won't do the mule subtles or the I'm sorry. I mean, the Negro League players great, but
Right.
those statistics are very, very. What's the right word? I mean, they're not vetted, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, well, they don't accurately reflect the toppest level of competition in those
No,
days.
and when
And
you
that was
have,
Major League Baseball. So
when you drill in to do some research and you look at a team's roster and there's 7 guys named Smith with a question mark, I mean, how good are the stats?
Not super reliable. I mean, look, it's pretty obvious who the greats were, and we can all agree on those. You know what I mean?
Right.
We know who the greats were over in the Negro Leagues. We do. I mean, and I'm sure they would have equated to great Major League Baseball players.
Absolutely, 100%.
But like you said, the 7 Smiths and the pitching was clearly not on the level that Major League Baseball was. It clearly wasn't. I mean, I'm sorry. You know, there was a few handfuls of stars that clearly could have made it either way, but the league as a whole, no. It's not even an ABA NBA argument, to be honest. If you understand what I'm getting at.
No,
I mean, the ABA had
totally.
an argument there. They did have an argument when you're producing George the Iceman Gervin and Dr. J and so many others. Wasn't Rick Barry originally from the ABA? He turned out to be pretty good.
Well, he started with the San Francisco Warriors.
So
then
he went
jumped,
to the ABA.
He jumped to the Nets, the New York Nets.
Right.
And,
right.
Yeah, then he jumped back.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of superstars in the ABA back in the day. Wasn't Artis Gilmore from the ABA, I believe?
Kentucky Cardinals, absolutely.
Yeah, there was a lot of great.
And
Issel, right? Yeah,
Dr. J. Dr. J started with the
tons
Virginia
of Hall of
Squires.
Famers. Yeah, it's a different story. AFL, NFL, different story, man.
We'll get into that in a little bit too. So let me go on to the next celebrity here.
Oh,
yeah, what a 88 years old, Chris Christopherson.
Oh.
Jimmy, there's a lot I didn't know about Chris Christopherson until today. I did not know that he wrote Me and My Bobby McGee.
Oh, I've always known that.
He wrote was it Sunday Morning Coming Down for Johnny Cash? Yes, what I really didn't know was that he was a Rhodes Scholar.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
It's funny when I look at him, I think to myself, look, rock, country, all forms of music are presented in all sorts of different ways. But at the end of the day, the most pure kind of musician, to me, pure, is the guy who can get up there just himself with a guitar, or in this case, is that a harmonica strap? Because I don't have my glasses on. I got my sunglasses on. I could just get up there and perform a song and make it feel whole without all the additives. Without the bright lights and the big show. And I guess what I'm saying is Bob Dylan, Johnny Cash, Chris Christopherson, guys like this. To me, I'm looking at a musician's musician. He was way better, I think, than people think. As far as his writing and his singing and his ability to do things. I mean, he was a very talented guy. I mean, did pretty good in movies too, from what I was
going to say. After that, then he decided to morph into acting. He won. I'm trying to think what a Best Actor award with Barbra Streisand, A Star Is Born.
Right.
He was in a bunch of other movies.
Hey, can I ask you? Have you seen that? Karen was telling me how great it is, and I've never seen that.
Is A Star Is Born?
Yeah, the original.
I probably saw it when it came out in the movies.
Right. Yeah, I'm just curious now because I know the remake with Gaga got so much acclaim, and I think she got an Oscar for it, and Monty loves it. I know that.
It was. I remember it being an excellent movie.
It was. Okay. Yeah. Very good. Very good.
But,
the comparatives I was hearing with the press after the remake was made, they were like saying it's so much better than the original. I guess they would just, there must be something very special about the remake too, obviously. So.
Yeah. An incredible presence. I mean, songwriter, artist, actor, Rhodes Scholar. Yeah. I think he won some.
How about likable? How about that? He was likable, man. There's a
Yeah, when
lot of
did you ever hear
celebrities
anything
that
bad about the guy? Flew under the
no,
radar his whole life.
no, not at all. You know, he's one of the old school. Was it Johnny Cash who went to bat for him? Because I remember he was nothing more than. It was a weird story. Something like, my God, was he like even a janitor or something in the building? And Johnny heard him play, and I heard this crazy stuff where Johnny was the one who made sure Chris was involved with things and got
I
into the
I,
music
the,
business.
I read it on Wikipedia, so you never really know how accurate it is. But
Okay,
supposedly, Christopherson was a licensed helicopter pilot,
okay,
amongst other things. He did that too,
right,
um,
right.
and he actually flew his helicopter into Johnny Cash's backyard, and I think
What?
handed him a tape.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
That's wild. That is absolutely. You know what that reminds me of? When Zabisco crept up on
under the
Bruno's
hedges,
property.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What
I
is
mean,
that?
on a much larger scale, flying a freaking helicopters. Jeez.
That's unbelievable to me.
And
Like, I'm here. What the
apparently,
fuck?
he had given a tape to Cash's wife
Okay.
uh, months before, but I guess Cash never, he never acknowledged it. So I guess he figured, well, I'm gonna, I'll do it this way, and well, obviously it worked, right?
So if Charlie Manson had like rethought the whole plan about trying to get signed, he would have just rented a helicopter and landed in Terry Melcher's backyard. I'm here.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very
We
interesting.
would have had one less true crime episode, maybe. Who knows?
Oh shit.
All right, who's next? So sad.
Uh,
This guy, and he was young, 58 years
uh,
old. Dikembe.
not in my house.
Oh, I'm glad you said that. Not
Not
tonight.
tonight.
When he spikes the box of cereal when the kid's trying to throw it in the grocery cart. No. Like,
No, not tonight. Not in my house.
it's funny. I remember him from that, but I mean, that guy was one hell of a basketball player.
Well, at the end of the day, offense, just like in most sports, is the sexier side of things, right? But Mutombo was defense Hall of Fame. Bottom line was it's his defense that got him in. That's obvious. But he was unstoppable, built like a brick shit house, you know. Very likable guy and obviously an ambassador too, right, Benny?
Oh yeah, Hall of Famer. I think he was a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, which that's a
Yeah.
hell of an achievement.
He was a monster.
Yeah, he was a force on the court. Not much of a scorer. I mean, in the beginning he'd thrown his 15 points, but he'd have 17,
Right.
18 rebounds.
Right.
He'd lead the league in block shots, and his team. He was on winning teams.
Yeah, he was.
And-
He was a great teammate. Very intense. I saw this fantastic video though, where you remember of course, the super team that was assembled for the Olympics, right? Back in the day,
Yeah,
the first one with the Dream Team, I guess they called them or whatever.
right.
And Mutombo, you got Ewing in the locker room, Mutombo, Jordan, and a few others. Obviously, all greats. Bird might have been in the locker room. That team was ridiculous, obviously, with the talent level.
Right.
But you hear Mutombo, Jordan was like, I've dunked on you. And Mutombo was like, no, you've never dunked on me. And then Ewing gets involved in the trash. So he's like, you never dunked on him, Michael? And Michael's like, yes, I did. And he was like, no. He was like, that was Pippen. And it was, oddly enough, up to this point in their careers, Pippen had managed to do a dunk over Mutombo.
Okay.
It was like a pride thing, you know what I mean? Mutombo just doesn't allow that, you know what I'm saying? So Jordan was like, okay, all right, I've never gotten you, huh? And then they show a game like, after the Olympics were over where Jordan drives right over him, and not to put Mutombo in a bad light here, but, it was Michael Jordan, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It took Michael Jordan to be able to really do it.
Look who it took, right? I mean,
right, on purpose. And he just missed, too. And he waved the finger. Michael waved the Mutombo finger at Mutombo.
Nice.
Nice. Which is why Michael is the greatest player of all time. I finally submitted to that one way or the other. You don't
never argue about that.
You don't go to 6 finals and win 6 MVPs and basically do whatever you want when you want.
Absolutely.
And not be what he was. But Mutombo was great. It's a shame. He was young too, right, Benny?
58.
That's way too young.
Way too young. Way too young. All right,
Yep.
next guy here. All right,
Ah,
the great John Amos. He was
oh,
84. This one hurt. I love John Amos.
oh. You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking of that incredible scene that Esther Roll, who played his wife on Good Times, when she knows he's gone and she slams those dishes on the kitchen floor and goes, damn, 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 Oof.
I grew up with that show. I mean, I grew up with that family. I mean, what
Yeah,
a show that was, and how good was he
great.
as
He was
James
great.
Evans Sr.?
The show needed his seriousness. And boy, oh boy, did he come across with authority or what?
Yeah, I mean, he was the loving, but like, I mean, a guy like
Tough.
that as a father would probably be reported to DCF, as a child abuser. But the guy, he ruled with an iron fist, but a loving heart, and then which is
Right.
very important.
Well, the on-screen character was a great role model. Let's face it. You know what I mean? It was a great role model.
You know,
That was a
it's
Go ahead.
funny you say that, Jimmy. When the conversation for greatest TV dads comes up, you always
Yeah.
hear Ward Cleaver,
Okay.
and you hear Andy Taylor, right from the Andy Griffith
Oh,
Show.
absolutely. Yeah, sure.
But don't you think John Amos should go right up there with them?
Yeah, he should. Absolutely great. Absolutely great. Look, they're all different time periods. Ward Cleaver, it's like, who really acts like Ward Cleaver? Nobody could be that perfect, but you know what they were shooting for in those days. It was a much more optimistic time. They were trying to
Right,
set the ultimate role model examples, if you will. I mean, shit, look at Mr. Brady on screen. We all know about off screen, you
right.
know? But yeah, I don't see any reason why not. He was a great father figure. Remember when JJ got mixed up with the gangs and he went after the gangs?
Yep.
he was a great dad, and it's funny. I'm emotional about it as we talk about it because hey, we grew up with Good Times. Of course, I grew up watching Good Times, and
Right, and then later on, he was great in Coming to America. It's really
yes,
funny. Mike and I were
yes,
talking about Coming to America about a month
hmm
ago, and I said, Mike, I've never seen that movie, and he was like dumbfounded. He said, "What?" I
right.
watched it
It's
that
okay.
very day, and I thanked him because it
It's
really
great.
is a
It's
great
great.
movie.
It's funny. I saw it in the theater, and I have not. I don't think I've seen it since. It's like one of those for me where I didn't see it, and I loved it. I remember loving it, but it's so hazy in my mind now that I would need to go back and watch it. But yeah, he was great. And when the character of that he played on Good Times, when he died, didn't he die like a bus accident or something like that? There was
I
something
believe
like
so. It's been a long time, but I think you're right.
yeah. But when he died on the show, I was just like, wow. Of course, behind the scenes, he was fighting a lot with the directors and whatever was going on,
Right.
which is why he left. But it was really sad when his on screen character passed away and how the family was affected by it.
I don't
But
think
you know
and the
what?
show.
Good Times was a real show about real shit. And
Yeah,
I think that at the end of the day, that's what made Good Times so real and so good. So
and it wasn't the same without him either.
no, it wasn't. It wasn't. I mean, when his wife slams the dishes on the kitchen floor and shouts out "damn" over and over again, not like Ron Simmons, you wrestling marks.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. I
you
actually
know,
thought that when you said it.
I know that's why I had to say what I just said, but it ranks right up there for me when Archie Bunker finds Edith's slippers underneath the bed after
Right.
Edith has passed away.
Yeah.
So just great shows for the time period. There was so much cheeseola going on in the '60s and the '70s, but there was also so much greatness going on,
There
as we
was
know.
the shows where they had depth, you know.
Well, this one did. That's for
Yeah. Oh,
that's for
definitely.
sure. This one did. And how about Michael being way ahead of the curve? The things Michael worried about for the black communities and stuff.
Right. I
Michael
mean,
was
yeah.
way ahead.
Each one of the
Yeah,
characters was great in their own right.
and yeah, absolutely. They all played the perfect roles. And what about the neighbor too? What was it, Walona or whatever? She was great.
Right.
You know, that
I
was
think
just a great
Janet
show.
Jackson got her start on that show. I believe.
Yes, well, she came later, I believe. She
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
definitely came later, and probably after, or must probably after Mr. Evans was gone. But I remember her being good too. So it was just a great show, and
Yeah.
it sucked. How old was John?
Amos was 84.
Okay, that's a good job. He
Yep.
did well. He
Yep.
did well.
Yeah. Let me
Rest
see
in
who.
peace, man, Mr. Evans. Jeez. Yeah, every time he was like, "Don't make me reach for my belt, Junior," I was scared.
Oh, yeah, we did. I ran. Yep.
Yeah.
Who we got next here? We got. All right. So this is John Ashton. He was Chief John Taggart in the Beverly Hills Cops movies. I don't know much about him other than that. Do you?
No, no, that's where I would need help. I mean, the Beverly Hills Cop. Again, another one for some reason. What is it with Eddie Murphy? I don't have repeat value after all these years. I remember watching the first couple of them. I do remember him in the movies, but I can't say I know much more about his career or anything like that. What does Wikipedia say? Laugh out loud.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
think he recently he reprised that role of Taggart. I think there
right,
was a fairly recent sequel to
right,
Beverly Hills Cops.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, down here, I don't think you have him on the list, but where I am, Frank from American Pickers died, and that seems to be
Yes.
something
Yeah.
a
I
lot
thought
of.
about putting him on. I never heard of the guy, but I mean, I've heard of
Yeah.
the show.
Well, he's definitely loved around these parts. I'll tell you that,
Yeah.
for sure. And probably for damn good reason. He sounds like, it sounds like a show that was probably pretty interesting if you're into that.
And he was
So
a relatively young
he's
guy,
young.
wasn't he?
Yeah, he's young too. Yep. I don't even know if he made 60
No,
or he was about
I think he was
60.
exactly 60. This one
Right.
made it a little bit longer. This is Dame Maggie Smith. She was 89. She was Professor Minerva McGonagall. I've never seen the Harry Potter films, but I think
Yeah.
she was a 7 out of the 8. But this lady goes back to the 60s. I mean,
Okay.
I think there's only 24 people, 24 actors that have
Right.
won a Tony, and I think a Tony, an Oscar, and a Golden Globe. She is one
Okay.
of those. She is one of those 24. So obviously
Wow.
very, very accomplished.
Wow. Do you know
Yeah.
any of the films from the 60s or 70s she did? I mean, it's
I
not.
remember, and I saw this, the prime of Miss Jean Brody, which
Oh,
was in, I
shit.
mean, I'm dating myself, obviously,
That's
now,
okay. That's
but yeah,
okay.
1960. Yeah, I think my dad rented it, and we saw it on the wall of my cave back then. But yeah, no, I mean, if you look at her, she's got a boatload of credits. One of those, one of those people that you don't really recognize, but when then
Right.
she was in this movie. I remember that. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that. And
Yeah.
yeah, just
Yeah.
had a good body of work. And like I said,
Yeah.
there's been thousands and thousands of actors and actresses, and if you're one of 24, it's like Pete
Mm-hmm.
Rose, being one out of two out of 23,000 that got
Mm-hmm.
10 200 hit seasons. You're something special,
Oh yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Well, you know what? It's not surprising. Like, for example, I'm a fan of classic Star Trek, right? When you watch those episodes, you start to see these actors, right? And they're usually playing just a role. They come and go because Star Trek, the original show, was episodic television that ended after that hour. They solved everything and they moved on
Right.
to the next problem. You
Yep.
know what I mean? But these actors that would pop in and you start reading their credentials and realize, holy crap, this guy was in this or this one was in that. It's pretty amazing to me. You
When
know?
if you watch, I love the original old Twilight Zones with Rod Serling. The list of actors that are on those episodes is
Right.
that would fill like an Actors Hall of Fame. Jack
Right.
Nicholson, Ernest Borgnine, Jack Klugman. I mean, you
Right.
name it, they
Right.
were in an episode, and it's just
And some of the biggest stars get the strangest beginnings. I think, for God's sakes, I think I saw Clint Eastwood on Mr. Ed. Yeah,
Wilbur.
like
Yep.
young, like really,
Jack
really, really,
Nicholson was
really
on an
young.
episode of Andy Griffith. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's weird how that starts. Shatner was a fucking legend before he ever got in the Kirk outfit after that Twilight Zone episode.
Right.
Shatner was already a legend. I mean, isn't that one of the greatest over-the-top performances you will ever see?
Oh
Nightmare
yeah,
at 20,000 feet.
absolutely.
That is just amazing shit, man.
So
Shatner's
Jimmy,
still alive
we're
and kicking, thank God.
yeah, he's early 90s.
Yeah, he's like 91, 92 or something.
I believe you're right. And now this guy he's not dead, but he's pretty much killed his team, right?
What a segue! Nicely done, Benny.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Well, this coach is dead in the water, which is a different story, of course. I can't stand Robert Saleh. I've never liked him. I understand that he's a good defensive coordinator, which is what he was in San Fran and what he's done here defensively. Fine, that's fine. He's obviously a defensive coordinator. A head coach has to have so many more things than just one side of the ball. You have to understand both sides of the ball to be a great head coach. You have to understand both sides of the
otherwise you're
ball.
a coordinator. Yeah.
You have to understand both sides of the ball. You have to understand how important special teams are. So there's three facets you got to understand, not one. This guy unfortunately only understands one. That's a problem to begin with. You got to be a motivator of men and not a rah rah guy. There's a big difference in the two. A big difference. For example, and I know I've said the story before, but when I caught Bill Parcells' first practice with the Jets at Hofstra, he was inheriting a 1-15 team, and Keyshawn Johnson was the only basically sexy star on the Jets. First practice with Parcells as coach, screams out to Johnson, "Hey Johnson, I can go 1-15 without you." So he's
Right.
now basically told him, "Yeah, you think you're a star? You guys won one game last year. I could do the same thing without you. I don't even need you to do that. That would require zero effort on my part." So
Jimmy, I used to work at the EAB Plaza in Uniondale for
yeah, me
GMAC.
too. Very
Oh,
interesting.
okay, this was about 96, maybe 95, 96.
Okay.
And it was right after he took over from, what's his face? Kotite, right? There was a
Yeah.
bum. But I had to be at
Co-type.
work. I think I was there was a deli right on Hempstead Turnpike that I would stop at and sometimes get like a breakfast sandwich and a
There
coffee.
was, and there was, and they were excellent. I know exactly
Right.
what you're talking.
And
Everybody went there.
who's in back of me at like 6:30 in the morning?
The big
But
tuna.
Parcells. I
Nice.
guarantee you Rich Kotite was not at that deli at 6:30.
No way.
And I thought to myself, you know what? Now we got a chance.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very frustrating to see that what the Jets now. I know every year is about what they have on paper, but this year especially, what they have on paper should not be equating to 2-2. Knowing obvious things like when you're on the goal line and you have two running backs, one is a slash runner and the other one is a truck, that you don't hand it off to the slash runner two times in a row and he gets no yardage. You hand it
Right.
off to the truck. Everybody knows that. I know it at home. Why do I know it, but Mr. Clean over here doesn't know it? Why? What is that?
Yeah.
Where you have zero imagination. And it's funny, too, also, even with the offense, Hackett, I remember his father. His father was a coordinator for the Jets. We used to scream out the play he was going to run when we were season ticket holders live, and then he would do exactly what we screamed out because he was that boring, unimaginative, and not go for the throat. This is football. If you're not going for the throat, what are you doing out there? What are you doing? Every second counts. I don't trust him with clock management. I don't trust him with halftime adjustments. I don't trust him as a leader. He is not what they need. What they need to do right now, which they won't do because it's the problem starts at the top with Woody, the shampoo owner, who is not a football guy and is clearly not the reason why other franchises like the Giants and the Steelers that have been football run for what, a century, and have a philosophy that has been proven to work for them, that we don't have one of those. We've got Woody. It's got to start there. Now, once upon a time in '78, it was a different, kind of situation. But the Yankees replaced their manager, who was a genius at least in Billy Martin's case, with Bob Lemon. It's what the team needed, and it's what the team got, and the team won a World Series.
And look what
There is
happened, right? Yeah.
there is enough talent on this team right now. As goofy as this may sound to some of you, I want someone who can coach all of them as men, has some experience. We can't keep going to these untested, untried coaches. If you look at the Jets' history, any time that they had any kind of at least get into a conference championship success, they had a head coach of repute that had a history connected to champions of some sort. Stay with me. Weeb Eubank, obviously. He had won a title in the NFL, comes to the Jets, wins another one with Joe Namath, and doesn't do it on all offense. They had a great defense. They won that Super Bowl because they clock managed. They had a
Well,
coach. They knew what they were doing.
let's talk about that, Jimmy. I
Yeah.
don't think did Namath even throw a touchdown pass?
No, he didn't have to. Namath managed the game like a genius. Played
they
them, kept them guessing. By the way, Namath was allowed to make the calls on the line the whole entire game. So you have an intelligent quarterback who knows how they've got to win this game. They took it seriously. They analyzed. They didn't need the numbers today. They knew what they had to do. Keep the ball away from that offense. And that's what they did. And they were
and who
able
were
to
the
push them around.
the studs were Matt Snell on the ground, right?
Oh yeah, 121
And who was
yards.
the leading
Yeah.
receiver
George
that game?
Sauer,
He
83
was
yards in that
8
game.
receptions, 133 yards. The guy was a
100,
stud.
right, number 80, right. Maynard was hurt. They didn't let everybody
Yeah,
know
Maynard
that.
had zero. They won it without him. I mean,
They
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 picked
didn't.
up Earl Morrow 3 times.
Right.
You know,
Johnny Sample
they
had a
did
couple
the
of those.
ground and pound short
Yeah,
passes,
yeah,
and
yeah,
Jim Turner
yeah.
kicked 3 field goals.
Right, right. They just clock managed, didn't make any mistakes, and took advantage of their mistakes. You know, that's the bottom line. They owned that game. They controlled that
But
game from the first moment for the most part.
Eubank, that was not a super duper talented team, but they
No.
were a good team. They were a well coached team, and I think that's what you're trying to say. And I
Well,
totally
yeah, they
agree with you.
right. And then if you go to the next phase with the sack exchange that gets to the 82 AFC Championship game and loses in the Mud Bowl to the Dolphins, it's Walt Michaels. Walt Michaels was a coordinator with the Super Bowl winning Jets. There's a track record there. The guy knew what he was doing. He was only fired because he was a little bit like Billy Martin when it came to ownership. He's like, fuck you. You
Right.
know, that's why Walt Michaels was discarded. Walt Michaels got Richard Todd to an AFC Championship game. What the fuck? Hey, he's a good coach, and he had a history. He had a ring from Super Bowl III Jets. Then you jump ahead to Parcells. And in 98 with Parcells, where he took that turd fest of a Kotite era, and 2 years later we're in the AFC Championship game. Why? Because Bill Parcells is a coach. And then you
Right.
got to jump ahead again to Rex. And for those who scoff at Rex, wait a minute. Hold on a second. I understand the last 4 years were a clown show, and I probably would have cut it short after 3, to tell you the truth. I probably would have cut his reign short after 3. However, he got to 2 AFC Championship games. His name is Ryan. What did his father do? His father was part of the Jets. He was part. There's a history there. You're bringing in so. And Ryan, let's face it, when he first got to the Jets, he owned that room. He commanded respect, and he turned around the team to get to 2 straight AFC Championship games. That can't be lost here. You know, he did a great job. He won all 4 of those playoff games as a head coach on the road with Mark Sanchez. He sent home people like, you know, I mean, who did they upset? Didn't Mark Sanchez beat Tom Brady 1 year in the playoffs?
I believe you're right. Yeah.
Didn't he beat Peyton Manning 1 year in the playoffs? You know, or he beat another major name. I know that. It was like, whoa, wait a minute. You know, at the end of the day. So Ryan was another one with a history. Who was Robert Saleh? Who was Gase before him? Who the hell was, Todd Bowles has shown, I have some respect for Todd, obviously, but Todd had no previous head coaching experience. No, he's a good defensive guy, Todd Bowles. Probably better as a coach than this guy. What is that saying? I don't know. I would call Rex Ryan a Morrow because if Rex Ryan gets into this clubhouse with this level of talent, the defense will be fine. Right off the bat, we both know it, okay? Because Rex is a defensive guy, but he's also got more head coach, ability and understanding than Robert Saleh. Do it. Get him in here. And he's a rah-rah guy that in the beginning was much less about the rah-rah and more about do it or I'll shove my foot up your ass. I could see him coming in here and being that way. This team has got to meet its expectations. It's got to. You can't be 2-2 right now. You got to be 3-1 right now, Benny.
Yeah, I mean
that
that last one was a crusher.
Can't have that. You can't have that. That looked like a Zach Wilson offense, and you got Aaron running for his life. It's amazing Aaron had the numbers he had. He was hit 14 times and sacked 5 others.
Right.
What are you doing? You're going to get him killed with the safe plays. Aaron should just call all the plays. Call all the plays. Forget Hackett. I'm waiting for Aaron to get Saleh fired, by the way, because I think that's coming.
Do they do it like during the season, or you think they
have to? I think you should. Don't you? You really want to sit through a whole year of this fucking guy? I do not. He's not going to get it.
We're not talking the Carolina Panthers here. I mean, this is a team that can win.
Dude, I would trust Frank Reich to take this team over Robert Saleh. How's that sound?
Even Jeff Fisher. Well, now that's pushing it, right?
Had some success in this fucking league. Jeff Fisher had some success in this league. That's hilarious, buddy.
Didn't he win? He got to the Super Bowl at least.
He did. They almost won the damn thing. Wasn't there like a tackle at like the 2-yard line or something shit like that?
I think they were about a foot short.
Oh, man. Yep. Poor McNair, too. We all know how that turned out. Ugh.
Right. So, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
So what
how
are you
sad?
doing it? What do you do? You're going to keep him the whole year? I don't think I would.
No. I can't see how. I mean, this is. I mean, we're 2-2. I mean, that was a game we should be at least 3-1.
Right.
And
Who do,
I don't think the guys respect him. I don't think Rodgers respects him.
who would you want to see in as head coach if it's not like a Rex Ryan type? Who would it be?
Oh, that's a great question.
Because I'll tell you what, and it's I know it's impossible and it's really outside the box thinking and all this crap, but my God, I would want to call Belichick. What is wrong with me? I don't think anything's wrong with me. I think if you had Bill Belichick walking the sidelines, these penalties would stop. The penalties are the mark of a sloppy, undisciplined team. Would you
Right.
like to come back to the sideline and explain to Bill Belichick why you can't seem to get the cadence down?
Yeah, I mean, that last one was an embarrassment. I'm tired. I mean, I was in junior high school when they won the Super Bowl. I'm getting on in years now. I gotta, I need one more.
Benny,
And
how
I
does
don't.
that? How does
This
that?
guy's gonna get. He's not
How
gonna
does
give it
that?
to us.
How does that one Super Bowl feel to somebody who was in junior high? Because let me explain it. Obviously, as you can tell, I'm just as passionate a Jet fan as you. I don't have as many years watching them as you do. And I comfort myself when I tell myself all the time, which is really a joke when you think about it. At least I was alive when the Jets won that Super Bowl. Bro, I was like a year and 3 months old when they won that Super Bowl. So my whole lifetime, I don't have that memory of junior high. What does that championship feel like to you? How did it feel then, and how does it feel now?
I mean, I remember watching it. I mean, I didn't even take a breath. I think for 3 hours. It was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. And I think the Knicks won the same season.
A few months later.
I think that's when
A
Willis
few
Reed
months later, and the Mets won too.
limped out to the court and hit his first two shots, and the
Yep,
Knicks won.
that was a few months later. Right.
Great year for New York sports.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, and I thought, okay, well, that's one.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking forward to a whole bunch more, but that was
Right.
it.
That was it. They had one more really good regular season of 10-4, and I think they got bounced by the Chiefs. And we know the Chiefs went on to win the Super Bowl that year, correct? And then the New York Jets, Joe Namath, never got to the playoffs again.
No, nope.
So it was a very short burst, but what a burst it was, because we all know how important Super Bowl III was to
Yeah,
the NFL and to the history of the league.
it will always be my favorite game of all time.
Interesting.
Always.
Yeah, I remember finally getting to watch it. Of course, years later, it came out on VCR. Yeah, as we continue to date ourselves. But I mean, I remember sitting and watching it and thinking to myself, "Wow, this must have really, really come as a shock to the Baltimore Colts the way the Jets played the game that day. They did everything that they weren't supposed to do. You know what I mean? Like the Colts, Namath at the time was the greatest passer in the history of the game. Look, he was the first one to throw for 4,000 yards. Nobody
Yep.
had ever done that. Joe Namath was, they figured he's just going to come out there and bombs away. And oddly enough, they went out there and played New York Giant football. How about that?
Yeah, it was ground and pound. I mean, Sauer, I think his longest reception was maybe 20 yards. Nothing, no bombs there.
No. And during the regular season, I've seen many highlights of that championship year. There's a lot of bombs to be seen. There's a gorgeous
Oh, yeah,
one.
Maynard. Yeah, I mean,
There's that gorgeous one deep in the end zone with literally a foot before he's out of bounds, catching it by the goalpost, and it's a bomb. It's like, oh my God, what a bomb!
Maynard, I think, was 34 years old, and I think he caught like 70 passes for 1,400 yards, average 20 yards per reception, which is incredible.
Yeah, and the Giants actually messed up with Maynard, right? He was originally.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Boy, oh boy, you know things are going your way when you're getting the breaks and the Giants aren't, because that's never been the deal with me as a Jet fan. The Giants were always the team that, they'd have their down years, but they would get it right because they'd stick to their philosophies. The Giants are ground and pound. They always have been.
Right.
Which is why Eli Manning statistically is by far the greatest quarterback in Giant history, because he actually threw. But, the Giants win on defense. They always did. And they're lucky that they had a clutch quarterback in Eli. That's how they got 2 more Super Bowl rings.
Absolutely. All right, let's we'll switch sports. Baseball. I think tonight is the Mets Brewers to determine the final spot in the NLCS. We got the the Guardians, pardon me, and against the Tigers, surprise team of the year. And then you got the Yankees and the Royals.
Right.
What do you think?
And the Dodgers are going at it with
Dodgers, Padres, and then you got the Phillies against either the Mets or the Brewers.
Interesting. Well, I tell you what, I got to give props to the Mets first of all, real quickly, because
Yeah. Oh yeah.
they really got lit on fire. I remember a little while back looking at the standings and going, "Wow, what a blasé year for the Mets with their hopes and their expectations." But then, out of nowhere, they've been on fire. So to get to this point, to make the playoffs, and you know, I wouldn't bet against them. They actually make me nervous. They've got all
Yeah.
the momentum in the world, and they seem to be built like a baseball team. They do have some power, obviously, but they have their ball players, and you never know when a team gets hot. So I'm keeping my eye on them. Um,
Imagine a Subway Series. Wouldn't that be great?
I actually wouldn't want one. I didn't want one when it happened. I don't like the pressure when it comes to. And
Right.
look, obviously, I was diehard during the whole thing. I watched every pitch during the Yankees Mets in 2000. But I felt like as a Yankee fan, you got everything to lose and very little to gain. Because if you win, it's because you're the Yankees and you bought this guy or you bought that guy and blah 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 blah. And if you lose, you'll never hear the end of it. You know what I mean? Like for Met fans, because it's their wet dream to beat not only win a World Series, but to beat the Yankees. Oh my
Yeah.
God! Sign me up if you're a Met fan. So,
I'm predicting Yankees Dodgers.
let me tell you something. If the Yankees do not get to the World Series this year, and I ain't going to make any predictions because I don't want to jinx it for Mike. Mike is very superstitious, but I'm sure Mike would agree with me on this, and I think you will too. If the Yankees do not get to the fucking World Series this year, considering now that Baltimore has been eliminated. And the
Houston.
Astros have been
Yeah.
eliminated. It's like if you don't do it now, when are you going to do it? You've got to do it now. Now, do they have enough to do it on paper? Yeah, they do. But are they going to get
They
hot,
absolutely
or are
have
they
enough
going to
on
swing
paper.
for the seats? Because I'll tell you right now, that's why the Baltimore Orioles are sitting at home. And that's been a Yankee problem for years, is that there's too many guys swinging for the seats. Guys, do me a favor. Go out there and play baseball. Get on base. I don't care how far you hit the fucking ball. Trust me, if 7 of you in a row get a base hit, there's going to be a bunch of runs coming across the plate.
Right.
Okay? Play baseball because the Royals are a baseball team. I'll tell you that. They make me nervous. All right? Baseball teams make me nervous. And by baseball teams, you know what I mean. It's not just guys coming up there trying to swing for the seats. They got patient hitters. They got guys who will situationally hit and know what the hell to do. Run the bases
They
well.
they
Play
used
good
to call them
defense.
table setters, right, Jim?
Yeah. Yeah, basically. I mean, the 1980 Yankees are one of the greatest teams of all time. Their third baseman was Scott Brocious, and he got the World Series MVP. Was he a slugger? No. He was a baseball player.
Right.
I believe in those baseball players. The greatest example we just talked about, the late, great Pete Rose. That's a baseball player.
Oh
Got to
yeah.
have some of those. So I would highly advise Gleyber Torres get hot. I would highly advise that our wonderful catcher, who I'm really happy that they finally gave him some playing time. He looks like he's got an upside. I love the mustache too, by the way, Austin. But get on base, get some base hits, get on base. Play the game. Judge, just do your thing. I ain't gonna tell him what to do. You know what I mean? But will Stanton be hot? Is Stanton is he blessing us with his availability?
I tell you what, I went out on a limb. I was on a baseball Facebook post. I predicted that Anthony Volpe will be the World Series MVP.
Wow, that's really going out on a limb.
It really is, right?
He's going to go on a streak, huh?
What was
Because when
what
he's
year
very
was
streaky. When he goes on a streak, he's dangerous, but he's
Bobby
very
Richardson,
streaky.
1962, right? He
Right,
second baseman, a pretty ordinary
right,
hitter, just got
right,
hot, right?
right. Hey, it could happen. But I'll tell you what, though, Judge and Soto have to lead the way. There's no way around that. All right, if you want to win a world championship, there better be. Your big guys are going to have to step up. I would tend to think. Unless you want to make it really hard on yourself.
Right.
So I'm hoping that Judge and Soto are, ready to go for this.
So
They haven't proved it in the past, as far
right.
as Soto has. But the Yankees haven't proved it. This is going to be very telling as to what my gut read has been all these years. You got to do it now, Aaron. Aaron Boone needs to do it now.
So
Year after year with 95 to 100 wins, you got to get this done.
you gotta win at some point. Otherwise, you're Marty Schottenheimer, right?
That sounds about right.
Yeah,
That sounds about right.
Win 10 or 11 games, you get blown out in the first round.
Or your Buck Showalter. How about that?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So what happens if the Royals beat the Yankees
Yeah.
and go into the series? Does Bobby Witt win the MVP over Aaron Judge? Is there any way that can happen?
Uh, I don't think it should, but
Right. No, it should not.
but can it happen? Yeah, sure, it can
Yeah.
happen. I've seen Yankee bias a million different times. There's too many Yankees winning too many things. Can't have it.
I
But
mean, how do you not win the MVP with the 58 homers, 144 ribbies, and
right.
a 325, 323 average?
Well, you know what? In the past, with other Yankee rosters, you could be like, "Well, he had all that help. They won the division." Blah 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 blah. No bullshit. Basically, this year, there's been two guys that are superstars with the bat in their hand, and that's him and Soto.
Yeah,
And that's just a fact. To do what he did this year, look, those are Mickey Mantle numbers, Benny. You know that.
they're like they're Ruthian numbers,
Yeah,
Garrett
well,
numbers.
they're Ruth, Garrick, Mantle, Ted Williams, whatever you want to call it. I mean, well, I don't even know if Ted Williams ever hit that many home runs the way Aaron does.
No, he did not. Nope.
No, I don't think Hank Aaron hit those home
Hank
runs.
Aaron never hit 50.
Right.
Nor did Williams.
Right. So basically, he's pulling, like you said, it's Ruthian.
And neither even did Garrick. Never even hit 50 home
No,
runs.
I think you're right. I'm trying to think of other guys who did Killebrew.
Nope. I don't think so.
There you go. There you go. I bet you Kluzinski did.
I know Johnny Mize did.
Right.
Name, yep.
Yeah. Hey, look, it's rarefied air.
A very select group of ball players.
What did Mickey hit in 56? How many home runs did he hit?
I think it was 54.
Okay, so he's done that. Maris, obviously. There's not too many guys, obviously.
No. And War Judge's OPS is I think 1.17, and I think I don't think Mantle ever did that, or he might have.
And what position, by the way, does Judge play? By the way,
center field.
Oh, come on, man! This is like a no-brainer.
Right.
To give it.
Led the league in home runs, RBIs, second in batting average, on base percentage, slugging percentage, on base and slugging percentage. I mean, what else does the guy have to do?
And he did this in New York with the most pressure and the highest contract and all that other stuff.
I think he already lost. He lost an MVP in his rookie season. Yeah. I hope he doesn't get screwed out of this one.
Yeah, no, he shouldn't. And he's also a great leader. I mean, I know it hasn't equated to championships yet. I don't really think that rests on him. He's an excellent role model. If Derek Jeter could have continued as a giant monster who hits home runs, he carries himself very, very nicely as a person and as a teammate and all of that. So there's a lot of good things about Aaron Judge. Yeah. We're very lucky to have him. I don't think that he's ever been the reason why they haven't won.
No,
so far since he's been here. I don't think he's helped his case though. He needs to have a hot postseason. He hasn't helped his case in the postseason. He's got to do that, obviously. But I don't think he's been the number one reason why the Yankees.
If he and Soto catch fire, get some decent starting pitching, I think we got a chance.
Look, they need to. Like every championship team usually has that contributor, factor from their top player. Like when they won the Super Bowls, the Giants, it was Eli. Eli's their top guy. He contributed. When the Yankees won back in the 70s, Munson, Jackson, Nettles, Guidry, they all contributed. The late 90s teams with Bernie and Paul and Tino and Georgie Posada and Clemens and Cone. And look, they all stepped up. I mean, look at the 2009 team with Johnny Damon stepping up, stealing 2 bags on one play. Johnny Damon was a pain in the ass that postseason. Never mind the fact that Jeter and A-Rod had a postseason, Hey, you know what? Judge needs that. Judge needs to do what A-Rod did in 2009. How about that?
Yeah.
Because what A-Rod did in 2009 was carry the Yankees on his back offensively. He did, to get them to the World Series. And then he cooled off. Makes me laugh. Gets to the World Series, he cools off with 6 RBIs. Prorate that, Benny. It took 6 games for them to beat them. He had 6 RBIs. He's on pace for 162 RBIs if you prorate it to a regular season. He cooled down.
I'll take that. Yeah.
Yeah, he cooled down. It was Jeter, Damon, Matsui, and A-Rod that carried them in the pitching. We know we had Andy. He stepped up. We had CeCe. He stepped up, right? CeCe came into New York and stepped up immediately. Yep. They got to step up. Great Yankees.
They were everything. They were teams. We need to play as a team. If we play as a team.
This team does concern me. I got to admit. I look at them as a whole team, and I don't feel super confident. I do
Yeah,
feel confident about the fact that they picked it up at the end of the year and got the division, which they needed to do, which is what winners
got the
do.
one seed, which is great.
They
We got to
did what winners.
capitalize on it
They've
now.
been doing what winners do so far, and the cards have fallen their way. Baltimore's gone, Houston's gone. You got to do it this year. You
Yeah,
can't let this
you
go.
can beat the Royals and you can beat the
Right.
either the Tigers or the Guardians.
This is how I felt about the Jets when they beat the Patriots in the playoffs and they got to that AFC Championship game. I says, you got to finish this. You just beat
Right,
Tom Brady, but of course, as we know, the Jets failed. We
right.
can't have that. Aaron Boone's been here for a long time now. This has got to get done.
Yeah, they got to win this year. Bottom
Yeah,
line.
I
All
agree.
right, so let's a little bit of WWE, being we're a wrestling show,
Oh,
so
wrestling. Oh, okay.
yeah. So a couple of things that you and I talked about, recent goings on. The one that really chafes my saddle there is Braun Breaker losing the IC title to Jey Uso. Why? I mean, why?
Well, I mean, I haven't understood what they're doing with Braun from the beginning since he got to the top level. You start to push him as he should be pushed as a unstoppable force, and then you have him lose. Wasn't it to Sami Zayn? I mean, we had to go through that. He finally gets over that hump, and now he's losing to Jey Uso. I don't get it, but and what's this that Braun might be turning face because now he just went and shook Jey Uso's hand from what I saw. So it's like they're going to turn him face. What are we doing with him? I'm very
I don't want to
confused
see
by
him
it.
as a face. I want to see him as a badass heel.
Right. Here I am hoping and praying he heads towards a Paul Heyman deal. You know what I mean? Or something like that for him. Uh,
I do not get Jey Uso. I get he's a good
no,
guy. It seems like
I don't either.
but to me he's a tag team wrestler. And are you putting somebody? You giving somebody the gold because they have a great entrance? I mean,
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm very disappointed. This is the first time I've become truly disappointed in Triple H over just this particular decision. As a whole, I still feel like he's doing a great job. But this bothers me because, and I remember reading a review about the match when Uso took the belt from Steiner, Breaker, however you want to refer to Braun. And they were saying at the end of the article, this was the right call. Everybody went home happy. And that annoyed me. I talked to Mike last week on the show about that. I'm like, what, we got to make everybody happy now? We made everybody happy when we insisted that Kofi Kingston was a world champion. I couldn't stand that. And
no,
then they got all upset when Brock Lesnar went out there and annihilated him. The most believable thing I've ever seen. I was like, thank you, God. In a world where the fans now dictate how they want the show to go, I think that's wrong. It's still entertainment at the end of the day. It's still a television presentation and a scripted performance. You don't get to decide how Tony Soprano lives or dies. That's up to the creators. That's why it's entertainment. You pay to be entertained. Okay, if you don't like it, then find another show to watch. But I hate when they do this and they take over and they insist on something. They insisted on Kofi, the most forgettable reign. I don't care if it was Vince pulling the strings or not. That is not Kofi's not a world champion. What the fuck are we doing? Just because we're complaining about it, we're going to give in to them? No, I don't agree with it. And I feel like the USO thing is somewhat like that. It's the same thing. Well, we all like to go yeet and listen, he's not that engaging. I cannot believe that they're putting him on this level where, look, you want to sell your shirts, that's fine. You want people to bounce up and down. I think LA Knight should have gotten a more serious push than Jay's getting.
I could believe it a lot more with him.
I don't understand it. I don't get it. And yeah, I've been watching those two Uso brothers become a legendary tag team that I eventually came to acknowledge and respect. And I get it. I get the Usos, the tag team. But I can't look at them. Maybe it's our old school, Benny. Maybe that's what it comes down to. Offer and Sika when they were split in half, or the Moondogs when they were split in half for individual competition, or if they ever did it with Demolition or whoever. There's very few exceptions. It worked in the Hart Foundation because one of the tag team members was Bret Hart.
Right.
It's Bret fucking Hart. I mean, I can't take Uso seriously. I couldn't take when. Look, I know Big E is a big guy. He was never world championship material, not with that presentation, not with running with the New Day for all those years. I couldn't get past it. Is that just my old school training? Perhaps it is. But I don't think it is. I think that they sometimes invest in these guys that don't deserve it as much as others. Or let me say, they may deserve it because of the work they put in behind the scenes. So there's that. But I don't think that they may have the same it factor as someone who clearly does. Look at that Steiner kid. He is a screaming example of everything that used to be right about wrestling and it still is today. He is a beast. He's a wrestling machine. And you believe that he can walk into a bar, pull up the whole bar table, and just smack it over somebody's head. What are we doing here? You
I'm
know?
looking at his brother. I mean, his father, and his uncle when I see him.
Yeah. And
Like,
there's nothing wrong with that.
no,
You know,
no. I mean, I think they
sometimes
should
you
change
can
it.
tweak it. It also bothers me too. Look, this is the name that he came up with. All
Braun
right. I
Breaker,
don't
yeah,
mind Braun Breaker at all. It's funny. I can get past the fact that he doesn't call himself a Steiner. I'm almost glad he doesn't because there's been other examples. Barry Windham. He's a mulligan. He called himself Barry Windham, and thank God he did. Bray
right.
Wyatt. Bray Wyatt. Thank God. Could you imagine if it had been his real name, Mulligan or whatever? Or,
Wyndham
no.
Rotundo, yeah,
Right, Rotundo, correct. It just wouldn't have fucking worked. It wouldn't have. He would have been stuck in the shadow of his great parent. What's the point? There's no point in that. David San
right.
Martino Jr. failed miserably. When has it ever worked? Has it ever worked? Maybe there's an example and I'm missing it. Please tell me. When has a
No,
junior ever worked unless his name was Vince McMahon?
yeah. I mean,
When has it ever worked? It doesn't.
what are they trying to do with this guy? That's my question. Like,
You know what? Hopefully, maybe he's going to beeline for the world heavyweight title. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and eventually avenge this loss.
I hope so.
I don't know. I would tend to think that they still have very high aspirations and goals for where Braun's going to wind up. Braun is a world champion. He is. He just is. Just the way Gunther is. Or other champions like Cody's totally legitimate. That's a champion. Punk is a champion. It's totally legitimate.
Right,
McIntyre is a champion. Certain guys are champions. However, if they put the belt on Sheamus today, I might be a little annoyed. Once upon a time, he was a champion, but not now.
right. Well, that was a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
How
So it
about
really, you
how
know.
about Miz turning heel?
Oh well, wow. That Fink, that dirty rat Fink, he turned on
I
our truth.
you know,
How could you turn on our truth?
I made a call to my good friend Christopher Walken, and you know what he said? He said, "Who cares?" I mean,
Eh,
right? Who
Boy, I
cares?
didn't know. I didn't know Walken was such a passionate wrestling
Oh, he
fan.
is. Yeah. No, I
Very
usually give him a
interesting.
rundown on Monday night, but yeah, he wasn't. Yeah,
Nice.
he did not. Did not care for that.
Yeah. Well, who cares is right. Uh, Look, they're comedy filler, right, Benny? At the end of the day, they're comedy
You got
filler,
one comedy guy turning on another comedy guy. So like,
right?
where's the comedy in that?
Well,
Like,
I just read today that the Miz is selling his mansion with his lovely wife for $12 million. So, you think
where
the
do
Miz
they
is
live
getting?
now? I mean, they were in
I
Texas.
think it's in California. It's got to
All
be
right,
Hollywood. I mean,
where are they going now?
who knows? I mean, the Miz is clearly at the end of his time. Don't you think it's time the Miz just maybe came back 5 years from now to say hello and get in the Hall of Fame or something?
Miz is 44. He's been
Yeah.
in the WWE, I think, since 2003. I've had my life's allotment of Miz.
I think we had our life's allotment of Miz 10 years ago.
Yeah,
I,
I would have been. So this is the reason. I mean, I know Vince McMahon did what he did, but back in the day, back in the 60s, back in the 70s,
yeah,
somebody would go into a territory. They'd stay for what, 9 months, maybe 12 months if they were hot.
right,
What did
right,
they do? They, if they were in Mid South, they went to Amarillo or they went to Portland. They
right,
went there for 9 months. Then they went to the AWA, and eventually
right,
they'd come back to where they started. But
right,
now they come back 2 or 3 years later,
right,
maybe with a new look, with a new gimmick,
right.
and they're
Now,
new again. They're you. We've had to watch this guy pretty much uninterrupted because he never really got hurt for
yeah,
21 years.
yeah,
I mean, yeah,
yeah. It makes me wonder, like, if wrestling had never changed and it had always been like a territory situation, how many of the guys from WWE would actually be in the business and be able to handle dealing with one shark to the next, being the promoters, if you understand what I'm saying,
right.
and one locker room filled with self-serving sharks to the next. if you know what I'm saying. Like, who would have dealt with that? And I can think of guys like that I know would have, like Kevin Owens. He would have dealt with that. Kevin Owens would have survived the territory days.
Absolutely.
Randy Orton would have survived the territory days. Um, but guys like The Miz, I don't
No,
see it.
no.
I don't see it. No way. Now, oddly enough, Truth probably would have, considering Truth's path to get to the WWE after years of being in, all the other indie promotions and doing quite well in those promotions. When he was Ron Killings. Once upon a time, our Truth was a great wrestler.
Oh yeah,
you
NWA
know,
champion, right?
yeah, when he was Ron Killings, he was a great wrestler.
Right.
He was the goods. He was.
I mean,
Oh,
like
by the way, have you heard that Shelton Benjamin's in AEW? Hold on, I got to take a nap.
no,
I'll be
really.
right. I'll be right back. Yeah, Shelton Benjamin's with MVP in AEW. I almost fell asleep as I said that sentence, but I'm hanging in there because who cares? You want to talk about who cares?
Yeah, I'll have to tell you my next phone call. I'll have to drop that on walking. But yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, yeah.
I don't know. And we got the PLE coming up on Saturday. Bad Blood from Atlanta. What do you think? I mean, I there's one match I know is going to be great,
Well,
which
why
is
don't you do you have the matches in front of you?
yeah. Well, I'll go down the card. So you got
Okay.
Cody and Roman
Right.
against Solo and Jacob Fatu. You got
Right.
Nia Jax versus Bailey for one of the women's championships. You got
Right.
Liv versus Rhea for the other. And then you got
Okay.
the old buddies, Damian and Finn Balor. And then
Right.
you got in the cage, you got Drew and Punk.
Hmm. So that sounds like a pretty decent card.
It's like, I use your word, Jimmy. It's definitely serviceable.
Yeah, it's serviceable. Does Punk get the final say? This is the last hurrah, right, from this awesome program with these two.
You know, I've read a lot of dirt sheet predictions, and they are
Yeah.
split right down the middle as far as
Right.
who they think wins this
I
match.
can I can see behind the scenes Punk wanting to give this to McIntyre. If you understand what I'm saying.
Well, I
You
mean,
know.
I'm thinking, does the winner of this match go on to Gunther next?
Does CM Punk get to be champion is really the biggest question.
Well, that's that. I'm going to go with Punk because I think
He
I
should
mean
get.
I would like to see Punk versus Gunther. I think it would be a very good match.
Do we take the title off Gunther though? At the end of the day, like I said, the big question is CM Punk during this return going to be world champion? I think yes, but I don't know when. That's the way it always is with these things. I don't. I If he fights Gunther, doesn't he need to take the belt off him? And are we ready to pull the belt off Gunther? I'm thinking no on
Oh
that
God,
end.
no, no, taking the belt
No,
off Gunther, absolutely
that's
not,
what
no
I'm
way.
thinking right now. I'm thinking no. So who needs this win more? Because if Punk doesn't win this, what's next for Punk? Are we going to re-explore because Rollins is back? I mean, what are we? Are we
I
going to?
mean, of course, like Punk is at the status, I believe, that if he never won another match, the guy's still
Right.
an icon. He doesn't have
Yeah.
to win anymore. I mean, he
I
could lose
think he
this
should,
match.
though. I think he should. I think that wins and losses are very important. I mean, personally, I would hope that Punk does get the win here. But what do you do with McIntyre?
I think he has to because I mean, right now McIntyre's got the upper hand, and
Right.
to me, Punk has to get revenge for McIntyre breaking that bracelet. So
Right.
maybe Punk wins, and then he brings his dog in the ring, and the dog lifts his leg on McIntyre. That'd be great.
Oh, that would be
Yeah,
interesting. Or maybe AJ comes in and lifts her leg on
or
McIntyre.
yeah, they both do it. Yeah,
Wow. Golden
and
showers.
maybe they
They bring
go to
May
Centerville and
flowers.
get one of those red crested cock
Here
gobblers, and
comes a cock gobbler to come rain on your parade.
right, exactly.
Oh boy! Wow, we really have a really screw job finish there, don't we, with the cock gobbler?
I'm going to go with. I mean, I'm going to say Punk, but I mean, I would not be the least bit surprised if Drew won.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to do with Drew after that. That's the beauty of some of the recent feuds and stuff. It's like, well, what do you do with the guy that loses?
Right.
And they've found ways. They have found ways. Triple H has been pretty creative with all of that.
I don't think. I mean, whoever takes this loss is not going to look weak. I mean,
No, no, no. I agree. I agree with that. They're both going to come out of it still intact as far as their badasses and stuff. So there is that. I would say Punk should get the win, though. I mean, I feel at some point Punk Wins and losses are still important to me, Benny. I think they are to you too. I know
But
what
he's
you mean.
got,
I know what you mean.
he's got a. I mean, has he won a singles match since he's
Well,
been
yeah, he
back?
has. Well, he did. He did beat Drew in the four corners, didn't he?
That's right. He did do that. He did.
You
You're
know,
correct.
and that's what I'm concerned with because I think it's 1-1 right
This
now,
this would
and
be the rubber match. Yes, sir.
right. So that's what I'm concerned with. That's the big question: is Punk going to head towards world championship material, or if not yet, if he's heading to it? Listen, him and Rollins, it's coming at some point, right? It has to. Him and
Well, right,
Rollins.
and especially now that Rollins is back. Yeah.
You know, so to have Punk lose the feud to McIntyre, if he goes into a passionate one with Rollins, I do think it'll hurt his stock a little bit.
Right. Right.
You know, or we could do this. The one thing we're not thinking about: Rollins crashes this fucking match, and we go into a three-way program because they all seem to have a problem with each other anyway. So, so there is nobody losing in the end, and now we have another party involved. I don't know,
I mean,
but they could do that.
I mean, McIntyre and Punk have been feuding since what, the Royal Rumble in January.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I
been a
mean,
great feud too when you think about it,
it's.
bro.
I mean,
It's October.
we're
They've
nine
been
we're
doing
9 months
this.
in. I mean, yeah. I mean,
I'm
granted,
not
Punk is
tired of
injured,
it.
but
I'm really not. I am looking forward to the conclusion, but I can't say I'm tired of them having those. Listen, they just had a great promo this week.
yeah,
I mean, a great one. They want to kill each other. They're convincing. They really are. You know, look, if it wasn't for the fact that they have such great chemistry with each other and they are top tier names, this program would have failed miserably in the hands of others less gifted.
I
Drew
mean,
McIntyre is doing the best work of his career,
Drew
and
is
Punk is born.
phenomenal,
As Mike
phenomenal.
said, Punk is reborn. Mike's got that nailed. Punk is just re-inspired. He looks great. He sounds
He
great.
looks and he
He
seems
is great.
very happy.
He is. Well, he is now because he doesn't have to. You know, he gets to be a leader here in the WWE, but he doesn't have to be
He's
the leader amongst a locker room that's run by the
he.
boys.
It's already like a
It's
well.
not
I mean,
run
there's
by the boys in the WWE. The
right.
locker room is not run by the boys. It's run by the veterans who have the most respect for the company and for Triple H because Triple H is in charge. That's what it is over there. It's not the boys. It's not delusional, young bucks and Kenny Omega and stuff acting like bosses because they made themselves
And
bosses.
they have no leader
Yeah,
there.
they don't. They really don't. And on that, Benny, we were talking about this. AEW has signed a deal with Max for how much was it? 150 million. And you started breaking that down for me. What percentages of that is compared to what the WWE just did with Netflix?
Yeah, the 5 million. So my math skills say that's 3%.
Right. So they just cut a deal that gives them a 3% increase compared to WWE's, what was it, $5 billion over
Five
whatever.
billion dollars. Yes, sir.
Jesus Christ. Oh boy. I don't know. I mean, I'm glad that wrestling has an alternative. A lot of the times I read Facebook posts from Bob Cook, who's awesome. He's been on the show. And he's very optimistic. He likes the fact that wrestling has alternatives, and I can tell he does what he can to enjoy it and not pick it apart. And that's fine, you know. So I'm glad that there's alternatives for the wrestlers themselves, because that is what's really most important as far as having a place to go find work, right, Benny? If you're in that business, you want to be able to work, for God's sakes. There shouldn't only be just one option if you want to at least get paid something. And obviously in
Right.
AEW, they pay them something, that's for sure. So they have that alternative, but it's the fan thing that gets to me because the fans just bash and bash away at WWE when WWE is obviously way more successful and a lot safer for the wrestlers themselves, and they're well paid, much better than in an AEW for the most part. They are, and that's the part of it that bothers me. But interesting that they're going to Max. You kind of spelled it out mathematically that it's nice that they have that platform, but it's not really going to equate to, what did you say, that'll pay the roster for like what, half a year?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, so you got that going on. And real quick, NXT debuted on the CW, Benny, and almost got 1 million views.
Wow.
Yeah, they got 900,000 for the CW debut. CM Punk was the special guest referee. So there's Punk again, by the way, Benny. Right away, once again, on the debut episode, he's the special referee for the NXT Championship match between Trick Williams and Ethan Page, who's kind of come over and lit that whole place on fire. And Trick Williams has won the belt. And by the way, Carmelo will truly get launched into the next level of his success in the big platform when Trick shows up there, because those two together,
Yeah,
whether they're going to be feuding or whether they'll be together, whatever happens, when Trick Williams shows up, it'll probably be to help Carmelo. That will be when Carmelo goes into another stratosphere, because Trick is the shit too. By the way, he's great, Trick Williams.
you know,
So
uh, I as part of my production, another production fail was leaving Robert Sala up on the screen for about a half an hour more than he should have been. So my bad for that.
oh well, that's all right. It'll probably be the most screen time he gets after they can his
It
ass.
will,
So
yeah. I mean,
he can always
right
come
over my
back and
brain.
watch this replay and look at himself and be like, "Yeah, I do have nice eyebrows, don't I?"
Right, right.
Yeah,
So now
yeah,
the other one that really kind of intrigues me is Liv and Rhea, because
right,
they've been going back and forth. I think Liv. I was very skeptical with Liv Morgan, but she's proven me wrong.
right.
I like what she's doing. She's a great heel. You got the stipulation that
She
Dominic
is.
is in a shark tank, right, or a shark cage.
Who let Vin Russo into the room? Oh, a
Yeah,
Shark Cage.
yeah.
Shark Cage. Is he suspended over the ring by any chance?
I he might be. I don't know. I'm not.
What am
And
I
maybe
thinking of, Betty? Help me out here. I'm picturing somebody up in a cage suspended.
it's
There's
better
something
than
famous that
better
happened
than
years.
Viagra on a polo, right? I mean,
Viagra on a pole. Oh my
you
God.
you got to know that he's gonna factor in somehow.
Yeah.
And I don't
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
I don't think it's
Rhea can't.
I
Rhea
think it's
can't.
too
Rhea,
soon.
Rhea can't. But Rhea can't. So what is this going to be? A couple of match program? I mean, how many times have they fought already? I feel like Rhea's got to get this belt. You
I think
know,
she does. I don't know if it's at this pay-per-view. I don't know if there's going to be any
what would they save
significant.
it for? You got Survivor Series coming up. Maybe it's more appropriate for that.
That I'm thinking that yeah, you got it.
Because it
It's going to be
feels
on a
like
bigger
Rhea. It feels like Rhea
stage.
can't be stopped right now.
Right.
It just feels that way. So my gut read is telling me Rhea, but I don't want to see it happen because I love Liv now. Liv completely won me over.
Yeah, same here.
Just
And I do think
completely. You
she's going to
know,
hang on by some chicanery. It
I hope
definitely won't
so.
be a clean win.
I mean, do you think that when it does happen, it's the screw job and Dominic goes back to mommy? Because Dominic is what are you doing with Dominic? That's a whole nother story. What are you
Right.
doing with him? Does he go back to mommy, help mommy win? You
Yeah,
know?
I don't know what they do with him. I mean, he's another one that I really I've gained a lot of respect for him as a great heel. Um,
Right,
to me,
right,
he was just Rey Mysterio's son. Now he's Dominic
right.
Mysterio.
Dude, he needs to bulk up a little bit though.
Oh
Agreed?
God, yeah, yeah.
He's
I
got
mean,
he's got to
go to the
he's
gym.
got he needs to get some muscle on him because he's got everything else going for him, but he's got to
Maybe
get a little bigger. He's got
maybe
to get a
Vince
little bigger.
McMahon's got some Ico Pro in the warehouse somewhere, right? Like
Yeah.
maybe.
Meanwhile, down in NXT, they're jumping the shark. I don't think you've seen poor Pillman Jr.'s new haircut, but I don't know what they're doing to poor Lexus King. They put some kind of haircut on him, and I'm like, you look like an
Uh,
idiot. What
I'm
are
not
we
a big
doing?
fan of hair. I don't think either one of us is a big fan of haircuts.
No, no, we don't like haircuts.
No,
They hurt.
yeah.
They're painful.
Yeah, they are. They hurt. They hurt. When I look at the on the floor, and I think like how long did it take me to grow that? And you were able to get rid of it in like 18 seconds. That's just not
Right.
fair.
Well, thank God. Well, for me, when COVID came, I just stopped going to a barber and never been back.
I've been once since COVID.
Right, right.
Yep.
I've been 0 times since 2020, early 2020.
What do you think, Cody Roman versus Solo and Fatu? And we're talking about people who impress us. I
Mm-hmm.
am like very underwhelmed by Solo Sikoa.
I
I'm
agree. I agree with that.
just not a fan.
So
I mean, I think Jacob Fatu is the star of the group.
right, but it makes me laugh though when people say that he should be in charge of the group. Doing what? It would. I don't want him to do promos. I want him to be silent.
No, he
You know what
that
I
would not
mean?
be
So
good.
I'll say this for Solo. Solo generates real hatred. Okay, like I can't stand him. All
Right.
right, and I like bad guys. I can't stand him. All right, he is fucking annoying. All right. I haven't figured out if it's in a good way or a bad way. Uh, this bloodline to me sucks. Personally, I'm not into this particular bloodline. There's just Maybe it's because of Solo at the end of the day, right, Benny? It's not. I don't look at him like a future world champion. By the way, is
No,
maybe
not at all. No,
you know
no
what I
way.
mean. And if someone's going to be the head of the bloodline, they have to at least have that. Now, in Fatu's case, I could see him being a world champion, but then I start to get skeptical about stuff like that because did they ever put the belt on a guy like Umaga? No, they should have, but they didn't.
No.
Would they ever do it for Fatu? Maybe, but again, it gets back to the problem that he's not the type that you want as the front man of the bloodline. You need a world championship level bad guy that can talk and wrestle and has the whole it factor, and that was Roman. So I'm not sure where we're headed here. Does Roman
I,
stay on the positive side of things? I would think so. I mean, does something happen with him and Cody? Are we already heading back to that? It could be after that incredible promo that
I
they
actually
gave.
think they win this match, but I think
And there's problems.
there's problems.
Right.
I think Cody turns heel sooner than later.
See,
I don't know why.
that's amazing to me. I think Mike feels the same way, and I'm like, why would you do that? I mean, he clearly could be a great heel, but would that be, again, it gets back to that fan base. Would that fan base accept that, or be like, bullshit, and where does that serve? Now Roman's the good guy. Roman's going to play a face. Roman has been a face since he returned because of hard arrangement and circumstances. You understand that, right? He hasn't changed. He's not acting like a face. He's siding with Cody because it's necessary to the
Right.
storyline. He is not a face. So we're going to turn Cody heel to fight with who? Roman? So Roman's going to be a face? The only way Roman becomes a true face is if The Rock comes back and assumes the head of the table on the bad side of things and takes the belt from Cody, like Mike has been talking about. That would make sense to me. Okay? Where Roman, then, yeah, he's a face one way or the other. Again, it's circumstances, but he'll truly be beloved and treated like the good guy in it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
So this is all way up in the air for me. I mean, on paper, Cody and Roman should fucking win this match, and that's that. If you want to plant some seeds with further tension between the two, do that. But I don't think that they should lose this match.
No.
You
I
want
wonder
to have tension, fine, but I don't think that they should lose the match.
do we
I
see
mean,
any do we see any returns here? Do we see Paul Heyman? Do we see Jimmy Uso?
well, oddly enough, when you say Heyman, Lesnar is back on the roster on the
I
West
heard
Coast.
that. Yeah. I'm
Okay,
shocked.
so there's that. And don't ask me where that comes into all of this because God only knows if Brock Lesnar's making a return and Heyman's with him. Who the hell knows? I'm drooling at Brock Lesnar Gunther, by the way.
Oh my God. Would
Okay.
that be? Yeah.
Okay. So there's places for Brock to go. Also, if Brock is with Paul, I can't think of a better opponent than Punk with the history with Paul and Punk and Lesnar. And there's a lot of good things you could do with Brock Lesnar if he returns. But what does that do with the Roman Cody situation? What does that do with the world title? What does it do with the Universal title? There's so many questions.
Yeah, that really muddies the waters.
That's
I like
so
Brock
many
coming back.
questions. I would
I think
continue to build tension with Cody and Roman, but I don't. If they book the bloodline to win it, do you really accept the decision? I, as a fan, sometimes will not accept the decision that's given to me the same way fans didn't when Roman won year after year, match after match, and the fans were like, no, he's a terrible face. The other guy should have won, blah, blah, blah. I get like that too. So if like the bloodline won that match and beat Cody and Roman, and I would I would be like, oh, come on, you're just trying to push them more and make us believe in them more. And I don't see it. But to be fair to this version of the bloodline, once upon a time, the Judgment Day was as blasé as they come. Remember? You remember that, right?
yeah,
How
yeah.
blasé the Judgment Day was. And with time, better storylines, additions that were key, whatever it was, made it better. So I should probably be more patient with this bloodline. They're at least generating legitimate heat from the fans. So
Right.
there's that. You know what I mean? But Solo Sikoa is clearly not world championship material. So there's that too.
Yeah, the thing is, I think they've invested a lot in him, and I don't think he's really paying the dividends. At least in my opinion, I don't think he's paying the dividends that they expected him to produce.
Well, I'll tell you what. Having Jacob Fatu showed up downsized Solo. They didn't think about that, did they? Solo was the badass. Remember when it was Roman and the boys and Solo?
So it
Solo
was
was
the
the role.
enforcer, yeah,
Solo was the role of Fatu, which is where, for Solo's benefit, they should have kept Solo. Les
right.
said, "Look mean," which he does look mean. Les said, "Big guy, beat down people." That's when Solo Sikoa was working. Solo Sikoa was working. The moment they made him with these suits and the gloves and the talking, it's like, nah,
No,
no,
very
no.
underwhelming.
So Fatu's presence actually downsized the guy who's supposed to be the leader now in the group. I bet they weren't counting on that.
I don't think they anticipated that
Right.
reaction. That
Fatu is that
but
good at being an enforcer, and of course, Fatu is way more athletically gifted than Solo.
yeah.
He's ridiculous. Fatu's ridiculous with what he can do in the ring and
I
how
mean, I
convincing.
really I
You
kind
know, he
of
makes
feel
it.
for Solo Sikoa. I think he's trying really hard,
Right,
but I don't
right.
think he has that connection. He definitely doesn't have the Roman Reigns connection
No,
to the crowd that
no. Roman turned into a thing of perfection over the years.
right.
Roman is a work of art. Roman Reigns, the character, the presence, the entrances, the promo work. Yes, obviously, Roman became great at everything, And it's funny too. Sometimes age is like a fine wine. Roman, the younger man, could never have come across with the kind of aura he does today. As a how old is Roman now? He's a
39, I
man.
think.
He's a
39.
man's man. He's a man. Like he
Right.
grew into that. Some guys do even better as they grow. Like look at Randy. Randy Orton in the beginning. Sure, he was always good looking kid and well built and all this other stuff. But Randy aged as a wrestler with a presentation like a fine wine. Now he's a badass. You know what I mean? Randy was not on this level of badass when he first got into this business.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're billing him at 290 pounds now, which is, I mean, the
yeah,
guy, he's a big guy.
yeah. He's a monster, but he's
Right.
also like facially how his body grew and everything, just everything about him. He aged well for this business. He's great now. I mean, let's be honest. Until maybe like the last 5 to 7 years, Randy was constantly getting ripped by the internet. He finally has been loved. Finally, it took a long time for people to figure out that Randy Orton is a machine. He
Yeah.
is everything that's right about professional wrestling, and he's got the genes to prove it. He's a wrestler's wrestler, but
He
he
would
had to
have,
grow into it. He became like a Clint Eastwood when you really think about it over the
he,
years. At first, he was just this fresh-faced young kid that you hated, and now he walks out there. You might as well have the Clint Eastwood music with a cowboy hat. He's a badass.
he'd
Little
be a guy
said,
that,
lot done.
if the territory still existed, like let's say we're going back to the 70s,
Yeah,
he's going to every territory. He's winning their
yeah,
regional championship, whatever it is,
yeah.
Memphis, Mid
Oh,
South.
he's Georgia heavyweight champion. He's Florida heavyweight champion. He's
Right, yeah,
Texas heavyweight
Mid South,
champion.
wherever
Yeah,
he is, and then
yeah.
he's wrestling Harley Race or whoever the champion was, Briscoe. He's wrestling title matches in every
Right.
territory.
Right. Yeah. Kevin Owens is probably starting his career out as Harley Race's fucking protege.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Certain guys would have done real well. Matt Riddle would have failed miserably. That's just a fact. it's you
No,
know.
like a guy, the thoroughbreds, Kevin Owens, Randy, the
Yeah.
thoroughbreds.
Oh,
Even
don't call
Gunther.
don't call him that though. Jimmy the Greek lost his career over that. Don't say
Yeah,
that word.
right. No, same thing with Gunther. I mean, geez,
Yeah. Yes.
the guy's a stud. He
Yeah.
would
No.
be.
He
He'd,
is.
he'd win
He is.
anywhere.
Yeah. You know who would have survived? Oddly enough, Ziggler. That guy would have bumped in every damn territory, gone everywhere. He would have dealt with it. He's
He
dealing with
probably
it
would have been
now.
like. I mean, he would have been like maybe even like either a tag team champ or a junior heavyweight champ. He
Would
would
have
have
been
stayed
something.
gainfully employed.
He would have been something. He would have stuck around the business. I think he would have made it. Jericho obviously would have made it.
Yeah,
Jericho would have made it. Jericho would have been great back in the territory days. He lived that life. He
or
understands
like
it.
a
You know.
Kofi,
Yeah.
Xavier Woods. Yeah,
Yeah.
I,
Not so sure. Not so sure. I mean, they do seem to be men of character in real life. Yeah, maybe they could have. Maybe they could have. But they've been purely WWE products though. So that's I can't say every pure WWE product would not have made it. I could see Kingston carving out some sort of career in the business. Why not?
Who
He
said
could.
it? Cornette would always say, how can I miss you if you don't go away? And I
Right.
think that's the thing, though. I think the
Right.
problem is with there's
Yeah.
just one product. These guys aren't going away. So we've seen 21 years of Miz, and nobody gives a
Right.
crap that he turned heel.
Right. No, it's true. It's true. I remember when, like you said in the old days, like when a Morocco would come in through the Federation or a Valentine, and they wouldn't overstay their welcome. Matter of
No,
fact,
even Dusty.
oh,
Dusty,
Dusty. Yeah.
he gets stale in Florida. Eddie Graham would
Right.
send him up to New York, and
Yeah, it's funny how we find that out years later too. I was always puzzled when Dusty would show up because Dusty was here and gone. I was like, "What's the deal with Dusty?"
right,
He gets a title shot, and then he's just gone. I'm like, "What happened?"
right.
And I always wondered why we always saw George Steele during the summer. I would find out years later the guy's a college professor.
Guy taught, yeah,
I give up.
unreal,
Yeah.
unreal.
Yep. The
Well,
old
my
days were
friend,
definitely different.
what was the? Now it's time to say goodbye to all our family. Was the end of the Musketeers thing?
I think that's it. But you know what? You definitely got me by a few years because I never really watched
Yeah,
it.
MIC. See you real soon.
Right. Yeah, everybody knows it though.
AEY. Why? Why not? No, I don't think it went like that.
Maybe with the Three Stooges. Why not? Shut up.
Certainly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, I want
Had
to
a
thank
blast,
everybody
man.
that's
Thanks for doing the
with
show
us. Yeah.
with me tonight. Appreciate that.
Yeah, take us home, Jimmy.
You've been wait a minute. What's the name of this thing tonight? Wasn't it the Pharaoh and the Playa?
Power on the Playa, yeah.
Is that what it said? Hey,
That's what
geez.
it said. That's what was on the marquee.
Okay. Well, you've been watching Pharaoh and the Player, and until next week when Mikey returns from Boston and gets rid of the cock gobbler. Later.
Later.
Cock gobbler.
That's what she said.
Ugh.